A small, helpless sound escaped her before she could stop it. Falak's eyes snapped open in anger. "You're invading my personal space again, Saksham," she said sharply. Her voice was firm, controlled, carefully cold. She wanted him to see strength. She wanted him to believe she had changed. That she was no longer the naive girl who once looked at him with wide, trusting eyes. But deep inside, somewhere beneath the walls she had built, that girl still existed. And Saksham knew it. A slow smile curved his lips. "Personal space," he repeated thoughtfully. His dark eyes glittered with amusement. "Interesting concept." He leaned even closer, eliminating the last inch of distance between them. "But you forget something, Pearl." His voice dropped lower. "There has never been space between us." Falak's pulse pounded in her ears. "Because," he said softly, "you were mine from the very beginning." Before she could react, his lips crashed against hers. The kiss wasn't gentle. It wasn't sweet. It was fierce, possessive, burning. Like a man claiming something he believed the world had stolen from him. Falak froze for a heartbeat, shock ripping through her veins. Then anger exploded. She shoved him with all the strength she had. The slap echoed sharply through the empty hallway. For a moment, silence fell between them. Saksham's face turned slightly with the impact. A red mark bloomed across his cheek. Falak's chest rose and fell rapidly as fury blazed in her eyes. "Never," she said through clenched teeth. One word, sharp as a blade. Then she turned and ran. Her footsteps faded down the corridor, disappearing into the night. Saksham remained where he stood, unmoving, unbothered. For a few seconds, he simply stared at the empty space she had left behind. Then slowly, a smirk appeared on his lips. Dangerous. Certain. "Oh, Pearl," he murmured quietly. "You still don't understand, do you?" He touched his cheek where she had slapped him, almost thoughtfully. The sting didn't anger him. If anything, it amused him. Because Falak Kashyap could run all she wanted. She could fight. She could hate him. She could pretend she didn't feel the same fire that had burned between them since the beginning. But none of it would change the truth. Saksham Singhal never lost. Not battles. Not wars. And definitely not her. He wasn't just a man. He was an inferno. And Falak. Falak was the only dream that had ever lived in his ruthless heart. His obsession. His weakness. His Pearl. And whether she accepted it or not, she was destined to burn in the madness of his love. Falak. Standing in front of this huge building, a shaky breath left my mouth, one I hadn't realized I'd been holding since the moment the cab turned through the gates. The familiar weight of dread settled into my chest like it always did when I came back here, dressed up as something else, something ordinary, something I could pretend was just nerves. Finally, senior year. The Elites Academy, Dehradun. One of the best schools in India and even the world. Students from abroad also come to study here. A very elite school, just like its name. The kind of place that looked like it had been designed specifically to make people like me feel small. Only rich kids are believed to study here, but that's just what the rich kids think. Students like me also study here. Yes, kids from middle-class families who earn their place rather than bought it. I come from a middle-class family. I have my dad, mom, and a very annoying elder brother. My dad, Mr. Ajay Kashyap, works at a prestigious business firm. My mom, Mrs. Anjali Kashyap, is a housewife. My brother, Abeer Kashyap, and I study in this school through scholarships. My dad was on cloud 9 when we got admission, and why not? It is the best school in India. The pride in his eyes that day had been worth every sacrifice. But sometimes, they miss us a lot since they live in Jaipur, and we stay here in the royal hostel. And sometimes, in the middle of the night when the corridor is dark and quiet, and I can hear my own heartbeat, I miss them so much it physically hurts. Well, every student here lives in the hostel. It's a boarding school. Lucky students. Yeah, right, my bum. I never wanted to live in a hostel. I never wanted to be here at all. And knowing that my nightmare lives here, breathes the same hallway air, walks the same marble corridors, I definitely wanted to run away. Every single time. Don't talk to unknown male students. You know him. Plus, I don't like guys looking at my sister. Breaking my thoughts, my brother Abeer said, standing beside me, tall and steady and so utterly unaware of the irony dripping from every word. I gave him a look. We just returned from break after exams. You'd think a brother would lead with, "How are you?" or "Did you eat on the way?" But no. This one leads with a warning label. Yeah, sometimes I feel like he's not my brother, but that devil's brother. That's the cruelest joke the universe ever played on me. Why can't he see that that guy and his gang bully his little sister to no extent? Why can't he see that the one he calls his best friend is the very thing I've been quietly surviving? But who can argue with this hot-headed brother of mine? So, taking the safest route, the route I know best, the one I've worn smooth from overuse, I just nodded. He kissed my forehead and left for his senior section, and I watched him go with a lump in my throat I didn't have a name for. We have a school protocol. We don't interfere in each other's matters unless it's something serious. And somehow, what I carry around like a second spine never quite crosses that threshold. Well, my brother belongs to the elite group in school. He's the only boy in that group from a middle-class background, but I don't think anyone minds. Looking at them, anyone can tell they are inseparable best friends, the kind of friendship that looks easy from the outside and costs everything from the inside. Speaking of the elite group, there are 7 in total, best friends since primary school. Abeer Bai, Karen, Nikhil, Alicia, Sana, Perry, and the he-devil himself. They're the most popular and followed group in school. With good looks, money, and power, they're treated like kings and queens, not just by students but also by teachers and staff. Like gravity bends around them. Like the rules were written for everyone else. They bully people, rule over everything, but no one says anything. Because saying something costs more than most people are willing to pay. I know that better than anyone. Anyway, back to me. I made my way to my dorm room, dragging my luggage and my dread in equal measure, and opened the door, and the scene before me left me baffled. Hey, guys, at least lock the door before you start sucking each other's faces. God, my virgin eyes. I said, slapping a hand over my face, genuinely scarred. My 2 best friends. They turned to me and smirked, completely, shamelessly. Magnificently unbothered. Yup, shameless. The both of them. Naina Ahuja, daughter of businessman Raghav Ahuja and social worker Divya Kapoor. Yes, she's rich, but there's not a single rich girl bone in her body. She's wild, free, and has small but beautiful dreams that she guards like they're made of glass. The kind of girl who laughs too loud and loves too fiercely and makes you feel like the world is a little safer just because she's in it. And of course, my other best friend, Shub Singhal. Yup, the he-devil's brother. The universe has a twisted sense of humor, and this is its punchline. But Shub has been my best friend since 5th grade, back when we were too young to understand bloodlines and rivalries and all the invisible walls that get built between people. We're inseparable. He's the exception to every rule I've made about keeping my distance. And the secret. Naina's family and Shub's family are rivals. The kind of rivalry that fills newspapers and ruins dinners. But these two, they love each other to the core. Quietly, stubbornly, beautifully, like they decided the war their families were fighting had nothing to do with them. Hey girl, you're back. Breaking my thoughts, Naina screamed and crushed me in a bear hug so fierce I felt my spine rearrange itself. Babe, can't breathe. I wheezed into her shoulder. Shub chuckled, the warm, low sound of someone who finds joy in the small things, and gently separated us before I passed out, pulling me into a hug that felt like coming home. Steady, safe, the kind of hug that doesn't demand anything in return. How are you, little one? He said, pressing a kiss to the top of my head. That's what I love about him. He gives me brotherly warmth, a sense of safety that doesn't come with conditions or complications or the quiet terror that lives beneath every other relationship I have in this place. Good. How was your vacation in Italy? I asked, walking in as he wiggled his brows at me with an expression that said volumes. You want to know about the vacation or, he said in a suggestive tone, drawing out the last syllable. I rolled my eyes so hard I nearly saw the back of my skull, as if I would ever ask about that playboy's romantic escapades. Shut up, now tell me, I said, tossing my bag on the bed with the enthusiasm of someone throwing down a weight they've been carrying too long. Thank God the room was clean. One thing I absolutely love about Nana, she always keeps our room neat. We're both cleanliness freaks. It's our love language. It was awesome. I went to so many places, and beautiful girls. What a combo, he said with a dreamy sigh that lasted approximately 2 seconds before a pillow connected with the side of his head. I giggled. Nana is super possessive when it comes to Shub. It lives just beneath her surface, always warm, always alert. And he's the same, just better at hiding it behind that easy grin of his. What, babe, it was just for fun. I didn't sleep with anyone there. Unlike BB. He mumbled the last part under his breath. But I heard it. I always hear the things people try to say quietly. My body stiffened, a small, involuntary thing, like a flinch that never quite reached the surface. The kind that lives in your muscles long after your mind has decided it's over. I saw guilt flash in his eyes the moment he realized, quick and genuine, like a man who has stepped on something and immediately wishes he could take the step back. I ignored it. I've gotten very good at ignoring things, at smoothing my face into something neutral and continuing with the task in front of me, as if the mention of certain things doesn't rearrange everything quietly inside. I continued unpacking. Nana, glaring at her boyfriend with the specific fury of someone who loves a person deeply enough to want to throttle them, walked over to me. Forget him, babe. My boyfriend can be an idiot sometimes, she said, wrapping her arms around me from behind, her chin on my shoulder, her presence warm and apologetic. I gave her a small smile, the kind that's mostly real. Why would I be upset? It's none of my business in the first place. But you, Nana began, and I already knew what she was going to say. She's been trying to say it for months. With her eyes, with her silences, with the way she watches me sometimes like she's waiting for me to crack. I cut her off. Nana, I've moved on. That was all in the past, and I hate repeating the same mistake over and over again. The words came out steady, practiced. I've said them enough times that they almost feel true. She's right, babe, and little I'm sorry for babbling nonsense to you. Shub said quietly, pulling us both into a hug, the kind that holds apologies that don't quite fit into words. That's how the last day of our vacation went, unpacking with Shub, chatting, laughing. After some time, he left for the boys' dorm, and the room felt a little quieter without him. In Royal School, boys and girls can roam around both hostel areas until 8 p.m. sharp. After that, the night belongs to your own thoughts, and your own thoughts can be dangerous company. By 8, we went to the canteen for dinner. As usual, it was packed with students, voices layering over voices, laughter bouncing off walls, the smell of food and perfume, and the particular kind of chaos that comes from hundreds of teenagers in one room. I hate crowds. I have this strange fear of being in crowds, a tight, breathless thing that wraps around my chest when there are too many people too close. But here, surrounded by familiar faces and the noise of people I know, it feels manageable. Barely, but enough. Nana and I entered and began greeting our batchmates. We went to our usual spot, the end bench of the canteen, tucked away from the worst of it. Shub was already there, surrounded by some cheerleading girls from our batch who were laughing at things that probably weren't that funny. I swear, he wants me to commit murder at 17 only. Nana grumbled beside me, her jaw tight, her eyes doing the specific kind of glaring that Shub would probably find endearing and also terrifying. I giggled as she marched toward them like a warrior going to war, small, furious, and completely certain of her victory. Well, well, look what we have here. Or rather, who we have here. A voice behind me sneered, low and deliberate, designed to land like a paper cut. I turned, and mentally cursed myself for not going with Naina when I had the chance. Peri Kapoor and her bestie Sana Singhania. Of course. Peri Kapoor, heiress of the Kapoor Empire. And Sana Singhania, the queen bee of our school, our best friend, who wore that crown like she'd been born into it and would die defending it. Also, the girl of the he-devil, which tells you everything you need to know about her taste in danger. And Sana, heiress of the Singhania group of hotels, sharp tongue, sharper eyes, and the particular kind of loyalty that only exists when it's pointed in one direction. The he-devil's best friend since diapers. Inseparable. If someone sees them for the first time, they'd think they were a couple. But no, they're just best friends. The kind who share secrets and silences and the unspoken agreement to make certain people's lives harder. Well, hello, Miss Goody Two-Shoes. Or should I say boyfriend stealer? Peri said, her smirk polished to a shine from regular use. So true, Peri, poor Miss Goody Two-Shoes, feeling bad. Sana added, giggling like it was the cleverest thing anyone had ever said. I rolled my eyes. Seriously. First day back after vacation, and I already had to deal with this. The universe has no mercy and no sense of occasion. Damage done. Nothing new. They've been aiming at the same wound for so long. They've stopped even pretending it's something else. I gave them a flat smile, the kind that gives nothing away, turned and walked toward my friends. Yes, I ignored them. Why? Because first, they are part of my brother's group, and blowing up that carefully maintained peace would cost more than the satisfaction is worth. And second, I do not want to face that he-devil anytime soon. Not today, not ever if I can help it. And starting a war with his side chick is the fastest way to end up standing in front of him. Hey, what happened? Why do you look so tense? Naina asked the moment I sat beside her, her eyes scanning my face with the precision of someone who has memorized every shade of my expression. She reads me like an open book, always has. Well, there's one more person who can read me just as clearly, who always could from the very first time, like I was written in a language only he knew. But we're not going there. Not today, not ever. Nothing, just queen bees. I said dismissively. Her attention sharpened, like a blade finding its edge. I sighed and told her everything. By the end, she was fuming, her hands tight in her lap, her eyes bright with the specific fury of someone who loves you and cannot understand why you won't let them fight for you. And as usual, you ran away. Instead of punching those bitches or at least giving them a piece of your mind, you ran. Falak, you're encouraging them by staying silent. And why the hell should you pay the price for that fucker's mistake? She was nearly shouting by now, the words tumbling out of her like they'd been waiting, pent up, for exactly this moment. Shub and I exchanged a glance and began trying to talk her down from the ledge. Babe, calm down, it's okay. Next time we'll be with her, you know how she is. Shub said, steady, measured, the voice of someone who knows that Naina's storms pass faster when you don't try to fight them. I was just nodding like the dumb girl I apparently am, or the tired one. Sometimes they look the same. She smacked my head, gentle, affectionate, the kind of smack that says, I love you and you're an idiot, then pulled me into a hug so fierce it could have cracked ribs, and I leaned into it completely. Shub wrapped his arms around us both. I always feel safe with them, like I can set down the version of myself that's always braced for impact and just exist for a moment. Never run or hide from anyone, Falak. Face your fears. Naina whispered, her hand moving in slow, soothing strokes down my back like she was trying to smooth out something knotted deep inside me. Running. That's what I do best. I've turned it into an art form, the clean exit, the turned back, the smile that gives nothing away. I hate fighting people who don't matter. Life is too short and too exhausting to spend it in battles that were never yours to begin with. And I would rather walk through fire than talk to that group. Because my nightmare is their leader. And hell will freeze over the day I face him willingly. Naina and Shub know I avoid him at all costs. They've never asked me to face it. They've just quietly, fiercely stood beside me in the avoiding. But I also know, no matter how much I run, he always has eyes on me. I can feel it sometimes, like a hand pressed flat against the back of my neck. The awareness of being watched by someone who has already decided what you are to them. He always knows where I am. He is an inferno. And I don't want to burn in his fire. I've seen what it does, what he does to the things he touches. I refuse to become another thing that burns. My name is Falak. And this is my story. The story of a girl who learned to run before she learned to stay. And the boy, the man now, who never once stopped chasing.